North Korea will be back in the spotlight this week as China's President Xi Jinping is set to visit the Hermit Kingdom, the first such trip by a Chinese leader in more than a decade. It's the kind of spectacle that could send South Korean media into overdrive, and with it, the potential for a good story at the expense of the truth. Late last month, a South Korean newspaper alleged that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had executed members of his nuclear negotiating team. Media outlets around the world were quick to jump on the story, reporting that an unhappy Kim had either killed or imprisoned the diplomats in the wake of February's failed nuclear summit with the US in Vietnam. But days later, they were photographed alongside their chairman, alive and well. The newspaper, which published the initial story, is well known for its provocative reporting on North Korea. In 2013, the Chosun Ilbo published an article claiming Kim had executed his ex-girlfriend. And in 2014, Kim had his uncle fed to hungry dogs. Both were false. So, is this just another case of South Korean journalists being leaked bad information? Or is the fake news politically motivated? Well, to discuss this, let's go to our guests. Se-Woong Koo is the co-founder and the publisher of Korea Expose. He joins us from Stuttgart. And in Manchester, we have North Korean refugee Jihyun Park. She's an outreach officer at Connect North Korea, a group that helps defectors integrate into the UK. Good to have you both on the program. Se-Woong Koo, why are these often false stories so prevalent, and why do they come out of South Korea?
Well, there are many reasons for this, but one that we need to mention is, as you said earlier, the kind of pressure that is on journalists to produce stories that are timely, that are groundbreaking. And this is especially the case when it comes to North Korea, a country that attracts a lot of attention worldwide. And as you have said, this is not the first time that South Korean media has done something like this. And certainly the newspaper in question, 조선일보, has done it many times. You mentioned several examples already, but last year too, they claimed that foreign journalists were required to pay $10,000 to gain access to the weapons testing site in North Korea called Punggye-ri. This is a story that was later disputed. They also made a claim that actually North Korea never even destroyed the Punggye-ri site, which was a completely falsehood. So we have seen this happen many times, and one reason we have to say is certainly the pressure, the drive on the part of the journalists, also the media outlets themselves.
Right, and it makes it very difficult for everybody to figure out what's going on because, generally speaking, outside journalists are not allowed into North Korea, which means that people rely on the South Koreans as a verified source or verifiable source. Jihyun Park, as a North Korean refugee yourself, does it upset you that so many false stories come out about North Korea when the country does enough bad things as it is? I guess you don't have to make stuff up about them.
We usually South Korea publish it about the North Korean news, but we be careful because we don't know the inside North Korea. This is invisible countries, and North Korea is not a real socialism or democratic country. This is a totalitarian dictatorship countries, and they have got their own Juche ideology and 10 commandments. So all people, they worked with Kim family. So in last time, many elites worked with USA, and they talked about the denuclearization issues, but this summit was failed. This means it's not person's problem, that is Kim Jong-un's problem, because North Korea, they has work parties, but work parties never involved anything. Because it's a North Korean's rule. So if people is disappeared or months or something, but we be careful, we don't publish it, fake news. Because last time 조선일보 published that Kim Young-chul was executions.
Yes.
But then after Kim Jong-un with Kim Young-chul, and they published big, and also Kim Young-chul also level up. So this means totally, because it's outside the country, people don't know the really inside North Korea. So we only believe the news. So if we publish the fake news, and then how many people believed our voices, because our
Right.
voice is really important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the important point here, right? So, Se-Woong Koo, there's all sorts of news that comes out from defectors, news about the gulags, news about the horrendous situation in the country. Some news just came out recently that the Chinese are now locking up people who are crossing the border as defectors. This was reported in Reuters in the past 24 hours. Are we in danger, Se-Woong Koo, of people disbelieving everything that comes out of North Korea because of some of the stories that some of the South Korean media tends to push about executions and dogs eating people and so on?
Well, I think the question we need to ask is whether it's only some stories about North Korea that should not be believed, but should all stories about North Korea really be scrutinized with a lot of caution here? Because after all, the kind of sources we're using to do stories about North Korea in the media, they're extremely limited. We have the North Korean state media, of course, which has a bias for the government. We have the defectors who can be a valuable source of information. But first of all, they're not in North Korea at the moment. And also, they have their own agenda. They're in a position where they are under pressure to produce information, good information. And as a result, there has been perception in the media world too that not everything from the defectors should also be accepted without any kind of doubt. There's another source of information about North Korea that is quite important, and that is the intelligence agencies in South Korea, and of course the South Korean government itself. But once again, this information, if it's produced by the government or government agencies, they are there to serve a very particular political goal. So in a way, yes, it's important to recognize that North Korea is just a hard country to cover for any journalist. And as a result, all stories need to be scrutinized. And what we have seen from international media time and again is they will rely on these South Korean sources and do secondhand reporting, but they will not necessarily scrutinize what sources are being used by the South Korean media themselves.
Right.
In the story that we're talking about today, we're talking about a single anonymous source. And can this kind of story really deserve the attention of the international media and community? But seems like not everybody thinks about that.
Jihyun Park, do you accept that there is pressure on defectors and refugees, such as yourself, to produce colorful stories for especially the Western media?
When I lived in North Korea, I never watched the outside the countries. So we only watched the inside the North Korea because the North Korea is only one channel TV. But early 1990s, North Korea electric system is gone. So after that, we never watched it in TV and something that. So we cannot believe the all informations from North Korea, because the North Korea government published information is usually fake, and they not truth information published to outside the countries. So in nowadays, we are usually many journalists, outside the journalists, they copyright to North Korea Rodong Sinmun, but in North Korea it's not freedom of right, freedom of speech. So many journalists, they can't write truth information, truth articles. They only writing with Kim Jong-un, and they also criticize the outside the countries who not work with North Korea. So yet today also North Korea published one article, because last week South Korea one group published a report about the public executions. So all North Koreans have seen public executions, including me when I lived in North Korea. So this report is truth information, but today's North Korea is criticized. This is South Korean groups and also USA. And they say that North Korea has never happened, kind of these executions, and North Korea human rights is better than outside the countries. So it's fake news is if we outside the journalists something writing different and fake news, and always North Korea is criticized to us. So that's why information is really important, and we can't believe all is the Rodong Sinmun articles.
But I guess at the heart of my question is, yes, we know this is a totalitarian dictatorship. Propaganda is what they do. It's 1984 inside North Korea for the citizens, right? They only give you what the state wants you to hear. But I want to ask you in the most respectful way possible, as somebody who is outside of North Korea now, especially living in the UK, are you under pressure to produce stories about North Korea? Are people pushing you and asking you for maybe more information than you have?
It's first in the UK, we have got the North Korea embassy in here. So in the UK, it's now 670 North Korean refugees living around the UK. So last few years, usually North Korean embassy, they take our details and send to North Korea. So family members who live in North Korea, they furnish it and important. So that is still they controlled to North Koreans. And also nowadays, when I arrived in the UK 2008, so first time I came to the UK, many original people, they didn't know that North Korea because they only knew that's South Korea. But nowadays, many people, they know that's North and the South, and they understand the North is a really bad guy, and the South Korea is a beautiful country. They already know that, but still the people don't know the exactly informations and the North Korean systems.
Okay.
Many people don't know.
Okay, and it's interesting that you mentioned that you still don't believe that you are fully free of the reach of Kim Jong-un's system, even while you're living in the UK. Se-Woong Koo, maybe all the demonization and all the infantilizing in some of the media in the West and some of the South Korean West is because North Korea doesn't make it easier for itself. It's because it's such a terrible system. How much responsibility must North Korea take for its own image in the outside world?
Well, you have said several times already that North Korea is a totalitarian dictatorship, and I don't think anybody would dispute that characterization. That said, is it the responsibility of any actor, whether individual or state, to try and defend itself, its image, or to try and project a particular image that is actually true? Or is it really the job of the media to do the best that it can to paint a picture that is truthful?
You
yes,
believe
you're
that
right.
the media
North Korea is not
sorry to interrupt you. You believe that the media is not doing the best that it can, just across the board?
Oh, absolutely, without question. You know, we talked earlier about the question of whether refugees are compelled to produce particular stories or information about North Korea. And I can tell you that a few years ago, I was on a TV discussion panel with two other people, one of whom was a North Korean defector who had actually not been in North Korea for some 10 years. And one of the questions he received was, what do you think is going through the mind of Kim Jong-un right now? And it was such an interesting moment for me to hear that someone could actually think that coming from North Korea gives this person the knowledge and qualification to talk about the mental state of its leader, right? And this is what passes for mainstream media coverage of North Korea these days. Instead of accepting that there are limited sources, that they cannot actually do a credible job, they will take any kind of information they can get, including the stories about dogs eating Kim Jong-un's uncle or execution squad, the diplomatic negotiation team disappearing. This is what the consumers or the news readers are getting as a result. And I think we have to accept that this is a very tragic situation.
Se-Woong Koo and Jihyun Park, it's been really good talking to both of you. Thanks so much for joining us.